What's up, everybody? This is Brad with the Mature Minded Gamers, and we're here tonight to talk through another great episode of Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode, 4? Is this Episode 4? Episode 5. Nuh-uh, it's Episode 5?
Absolutely, it's Episode 5.
Oh, man. I'm here with my good friends, Will and Eric.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, everybody.
And we are going to give you our impressions, thoughts, and basically whatever's on our mind about this episode. So, Will, why don't you get us started?
All right, so I'm going to be doing the review and the discussion about what happened in this episode today. So sit back and enjoy and listen to the thoughts of the standard crew here. So first off, in the episode, we start off with Saroo getting suited up. You got Burnham come walking in, and they basically have this like kind of touching moment, and they both really kind of talk about that they trust what matters most will have endured. You guys think that the Federation will have endured to what the standards and the values that they had from old Federation?
I mean, going into this episode, I kind of expected that they're not going to have, just because the numbers have decreased. And I'll tell you, there's a stark lack of Vulcans in this series. So I'm going to assume that we've lost a little bit of that logic, or that, I guess, I mean, they weren't necessarily pacifists, but I think the Vulcans definitely influenced the, talk first instead of shoot first sort of mentality. So I'm kind of expecting that it's going to be as I was approaching this part of the episode, I was expecting it to be a little bit more xenophobic like we saw on Earth.
Eric?
This is totally not what I thought we were going to run into here.
Right.
I thought we were going to have, basically a ragtag crew holding together as, calling themselves Starfleet.
Right. So the very next scene, we have them arriving at the Federation headquarters. They even comment, as far as I can't see it, there's a distortion field there, and that's like their security measures, but they are expected. So obviously they've already been in contact with them. So how else would they know? They haven't really talked about that at all, though. So we do get a very awesome scene, though, of Discovery flying through the distortion field. And boy, howdy, boys, we got some eye candy happening, in my opinion. We got some awesome looking ships. We got some discussion about some different the different hulls. There's an organic hull, one that's a hologram. They talk about even a new constellation class, and was it Oa's talking about how, man, that could fit like 2,000 people, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty massive, But Eric, I think probably your favorite scene of this entire episode is coming up right there. You get to see the
Voyager 11 edition.
Yeah,
11th edition, yeah.
Voyager J. So I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of wondered myself when that happened. I was like, ooh, how did that survive the burn? So did the Voyager use dilithium?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that I didn't know, because I've never finished Voyager, so not a very good show.
Oh, man. Shots fired.
It's not as good as Deep Space Nine, but
If you slow it down really slow, did you catch one of the ship's names, Will?
The
USS
Don't tell me to define. Oh,
No,
what's there? The
USS
Nog there?
Nog, yep.
That's cool. I didn't see that one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, I was looking all over see if I can recognize any other ships or anything, but I didn't see anything. Brad, did you pick up anything?
Nothing that jumped off. I mean, there's some interesting concepts, but nothing that let in. But I'll tell you that, like, right in the next scene leading into that, though, they say that the ships appear to be contributing energy to the dispersion grid or whatever. And
right, which I thought was pretty awesome.
Well, I thought it was a cool concept, except for that's not a finite amount of energy. So where are the ships generating their energy to be able to generate for the cloaking field, basically? At some point, that fuel is going to run out.
So anyway, the crew is very excited. They have so much anticipation. They're like, oh my gosh, it's that feeling of coming home. They're a little bit nervous and anxious about what they're going to, discover and unfold here. The Discovery gets scanned almost immediately, and then is hailed. They need to have a captain, the first officer, and Tall beam aboard or beam over to Federation headquarters. Does anybody else what did you guys think about Senate Tall being requested over?
I expected that.
Sure.
Yeah, since I said they could scan and tell that she had the symbiote in her. Real quick though, before we get too far beyond this, so this location was nothing. I mean, there's a lot of buildup about, this is,
it's
this
here.
Is gonna be, this is going to be on, what we say, the Klingon homeworld at one point, the Romulan homeworld.
I'm going to stop you shy of saying we said that. You said that with your harebrained, nutty theories that come up every episode.
I say Kronos, but
Kronos is one of them. There's lots of places. The one, the church planet from season 2. So it was nothing. It was just out in the middle of space, and they never really elaborated on it where they ended up going, which seemed weird because Burnham seemed surprised by it. You remember that from the episode before?
She did.
And so I was a little saddened that it wasn't something big. I don't know.
So next up we get our first scene of inside Starfleet headquarters. It's a very spacious starbase kind of thing, kind of structure. One of the very first things that stood out to me was the uniforms. I liked how they still had the color recognition. So you still had your command, science, which I thought was awesome that they kept that, almost 1,000 years later, that was still a big part of the uniforms. What did you guys think of the looks of those?
I thought it was really sharp. I actually liked the uniforms quite a bit. I liked the new badges too. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Or the new, not badges, the what's it called?
Pips.
Yeah, the pips.
Yeah,
whatever it is. Identifies their rank. I thought that was really cool.
Brad, your thoughts?
I don't know that they didn't wow me. I was looking at the scenery around them more than anything else. And the guy that they had that played Admiral What's His Face, as soon as I saw him, the only thing I could think of was the Mummy. So I think it was a little distracted.
So Admiral What's His Face is actually named Admiral Vance. And he is basically the leader right now of the Federation, the one that's in charge of the entire place, and the one that they're going to be answering to. Could be the next. It could be the antagonist here in this episode. Or let's continue talking about it and see what happens. We also get introduced to the tactical, or not tactical, the security officer. Is that what's he was? Willa?
Yeah,
chief of security, I think, for the Federation. Her name was Willa, and I can't remember her first name. So you guys remember that?
Nope.
No.
It was Charles Vance and Willa, but I can't remember the other name for her. We do come to find out that Comet Kaminar has joined Starfleet, which, Saroo is pretty stoked about. Kind of was like, oh my gosh, like my race, survived and evolved and got out there amongst the stars and joined Starfleet. He was pretty stoked, I think.
They made a really big deal about him not having or him being the only Kelpian that still had what was it called? The
phalange things?
No, well, the chemical reaction in his body.
Right.
And so that was interesting to me.
So also we come to find out there's an urgent discussion that needs to happen about the Orions and the Andorians. We hear a mention of a emerald chain, and that Osira, which I'm assuming is probably the leader, is up to no good and up to their old tricks and stuff. So what do you guys think of this Orion Andorian syndicate?
Oh man, crazy theory coming. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Burnham is part of that. And she knows all about it. And that's secret. That's the secret she's been hiding.
Okay. What do you think that?
Because she's been hiding some big secret this whole time. We don't know what she's been doing for this year. I think she is either part of it somehow, or she's going to be involved. We're going to get an episode with her interacting with this leader. What was his name? The leader of the syndicate.
Osira?
Yeah. And that's how we're going to get the story of what that whole thing is.
I could see that. I from listening to that part, I'm beginning to think that I thought at first Vance was going to be like the antagonist for this, and he's going to lock shit down, and then we hear this Osira and this emerald chain, and I think that's going to be towards the end of the season. As the season progresses, I think we're going to get more and more of that. I don't know if I'm bought into your idea of Burnham being involved with the Emerald Chain.
Like, I think maybe they gave her the ship and the capabilities to find her crew, and so she's indebted to them somehow. I'm not really thinking she's like happy about the situation. Like, she's actually doing it.
Think she's a spy.
Yeah, I don't think it's like something she really wanted to do, but I think she needed to do it, and I think that's what we're gonna.
Okay. Well, something that at the very beginning that I didn't talk about was Burnham was talking to Saroo about really wanting to find out more about her mother. So, I think that could maybe play into some of the future story that we see in the rest of this season. Next up, we do see that Admiral Tall and Vance, Adira Tall and Vance share just a brief moment, but Vance kind of shuts that down pretty quickly, kind of saying that that I know the other Tall, Senatol, that's it, knows who Senatol, and we're close, but you and I, we don't know each other. And then we've come to find out also that there's Kili refugees that are sick, and then something called prions are affecting them.
I think that was all new, but did you guys get the feeling that it really hurt her when he kind of shut her down? Yeah. It seemed like Adira still had feelings like they were friends, and boy, he shuts that down.
Those memories, right?
Right. And you're right.
From every other troll we've ever interacted with, though, that's pretty common.
And you're right. At this point, I'm thinking this guy is the antagonist.
Right. Yeah, me too. Up to this point, kind of thinking that both was going to happen. So, Burnham again tries to say, hey, we can help the Kili with finding out what's happening to him. Let us help. And again, Vince just shuts that down. So, I mean, he's just shutting down doors left and right, being very defensive and closed off. But I mean, you got to think he's the head of the Federation, and from his perspective, he's been doing this a long time to keep the Federation together. And if something else comes in that's the unknown factor, I mean, you can't just believe him at face value. You really got to know who you're dealing with all these lives at stake. So I can understand why he's really standoffish. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. I don't know that I really batted an eye at what was going on there.
Yeah, later on in the episode, that's kind of the feeling I came to as well, Will.
And then also that Saroo explains that they just want to help. But Vance says, again, shut Saroo down. And it really just talks about how they really need to be debriefed before anything really moves forward. Let's see here. So Vance is skeptical of the 100,000 years of information that the Discovery seems to have in their systems, as well as their entire story. So I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that this information that's on the Discovery is going to be downloaded to Federation, or you think it's going to stay on Discovery?
Stay on Discovery.
He seemed really nonchalant about it. It kind of worried me. I think he wants that data more than he let on. And they're probably have already transferred it over to them. Maybe I'm not 100% sure on that, but
they've got to have some sort of serious brain trust at the Federation. And the fact that he wasn't even, like you said, didn't even bat an eye. That's why it beat me to think that there's something else going on there. They also seem to be using a lot of AI, because some of the things we see this new AI system, this new medical.
Mm-hmm. I
thought that was pretty cool.
Really cool.
Being able to detect people's emotions and chemical levels just by looking at them and stuff. And I thought that was really, really cool. You saw the advancement from like the Voyager medical officer.
Right.
Yeah, but the EMH definitely had more of a personality than these do. I think they were just a little too chipper, and I kept thinking of the AI on Magarathea in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. You know what I mean? Hey guys, welcome to Magarathea. You know what I mean? And these guys just seemed way over the top.
I kind of thought they all had their own personality, kind of like on Picard's the Rios and all of the different Rioses.
Well, there's kind of 4 that we saw, right? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. We also get a little bit of information from Vance. Finally, we discover a little bit more about what the Federation is consisting of. 38 member worlds, down from 350 at its peak. That's a tenth of the That's nuts.
It's a huge, decimation.
Right.
Especially, I don't know how many they had when Discovery left. I've never really paid attention to that number. Does anybody know that off the top of their head?
No, but it definitely wouldn't have been that many because the known universe to what was in the original series was pretty small.
So I mean, should we come to the conclusion that at one point Federation kind of unified everybody?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people. 350 planets at least.
That's a lot. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't know if they'll ever lead into that or not. But anyways, go ahead.
What was the United Federation of Planets?
Right. That's a lot of growth. So, like, I mean, did the Klingons or the Romulans join at some point? You know, like, how many people do we get in this?
I don't care whether or not the Klingons and the Romulans were in there. I mean, the Romulans, I kind of assume that they, fizzled out and they dwindle down, and maybe they have some settlement planets that join, but not all of them do. So I don't know, as a race, the Romulans probably did. The Klingons probably are doing their own thing. That's kind of on their thing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know that I care in this time frame. Like, there's so much more going on, and the galaxy is so much smaller. Well, no, it's so much bigger at this point because the burn and because we don't have faster than light travel anymore. That ultimately they're further out than we can get to right now. So aside from Discovery, but Discovery's got no reason to go out to them.
Right, and we didn't see any, like you said, Vulcans, and then like you said, Eric, Klingons or Romulans. We didn't see any of them on the Federation headquarters.
No.
So right after that, Vance again shuts down giving out any information, questions of that there's no records of Discovery. And then Saroo kind of explains, well, it was deleted, and that's the standard protocol at that time. He talks about the temporal wars, which I thought was pretty awesome, about essentially because you're time travelers, you are committed a crime. So what do you guys think about, do we get a little bit of the temporal wars in one of the shows?
Enterprise. Well, Enterprise touched on it because they had the dude that went all the way back, and they pulled, it might have been Archer, it might have been somebody else, all the way forward to see like the Enterprise N or something like that. And it was at that time they were in the midst of the temporal wars. And then in Voyager, Captain Braxton referenced it, I think, in Braxton was in two different episodes. The one where they went back in time to San Francisco, and then the other one was in the future. And I can't remember which one of those they mentioned the temporal wars, but that's another one where they talk about it. So this was expected for me.
The next step, we have Vance pretty much just saying, hey, I'm going to requisition Discovery. We're going to debrief and reassign the crew, and will not tell them exactly why. But again, I think he's kind of justified on making this decision. You're coming back in. You're saying you're from the Federation. We have no records of this. We have to, trust but verify, right? And and it comes to the life of the Federation, the continuation and success, survivability of the Federation. You've really got to check and balances there, right?
Right.
So I can understand his apprehension on all this, but it's not what we as the the behind the scenes person, or the viewer, having all this information that obviously Vance doesn't have. I think he's justified. So my beginning thoughts on how he was, kind of, I was thinking more being to be the antagonist for this. I'm beginning to think, okay, I can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, this was the turning point for me too, Will. This is when I kind of thought, okay, I can kind of see this a little bit, why he's being so cautious and taking all these chances, or not taking all these chances, being very not pessimistic really, but being very slow
Cautious.
to trust. Cautious,
Right.
yes, thank you.
Right. All right. So anybody have anything to add to any of those scenes? Anything you want to talk about?
Nothing really.
No, you think you nailed it.
All right. So next up we have Saroo and Burnham, and Saroo is telling Burnham that we are not out there anymore. We are part of this Federation. We're going to do things by the book, and I figured you would have learned this by now. Burnham basically tells Saroo we have to get more info on the Kelly, the Kalai. What was that race? Kalai? It was called the Kalai. They were cool looking, right? I mean, the aliens when they were in those med bays, I thought they looked pretty cool. As far as like the design of the aliens.
Right. I agree with that. Apparently they were scavengers from what we gather, but you'll probably get to that later.
Absolutely. And then next up, we get a shot of the crew in the hangar of the Discovery. They're being explained that they're about to be broken up and debriefed. And everybody is not too happy about that. So I can kind of understand why they've been through a lot together. But I mean, what do they expect? I mean, do they expect that just because they're on the Discovery that they're just going to continue to be on the Discovery?
I mean, yeah, I would on this case, because you just traveled 1,000 years in the future. You're about to lose the only people you can actually relate to. Like I was with Discovery crew on this one. This was a bad move. And they hit on it too. I mean, later on, but
right, absolutely. What did you guys think of the stories they were telling?
Oh,
I'm good with my killer now.
That was one of my favorite parts of this whole episode. All the interviews were fantastic. Just going back and hitting the highlights of all the craziness that happened to Discovery. They did a really good job. Right. And I'll tell you what, Culber, I was always okay with him, but he's really turned it into a great character. Season 3 has been really good for him. He's hitting it full blast.
Yeah, they've really focused on him quite a bit over these past couple episodes, as far as like being more of the counselor as well as the doctor. Yep. I for whatever reason I thought Reno's was the funniest in my opinion. So I like her character. I just feel like she's just but right now just being comic relief.
Yeah, she's back to one of my favorites again.
Right. All right, so then we get a scene of Giorgio being questioned as well, but in this one, we also have a man with glasses. I listened and I did never hear a name for him, so I just call him the man with the glasses. Did you guys catch a name on that guy?
I'm going to sound like Eric on this one. Section 31.
He definitely is. 100%. There's no question there.
I think so, and I've got a reason why, which we'll get to in a bit. So,
I'm gonna hold mine too. So,
I got a lot. I got a lot about this whole interview. But go ahead.
All right. So that's really what I've got on that part. But as far as the glasses dude, so I mean, what do you guys have on that? But I don't want to go into necessarily why we think he's Section 31 yet. What did you guys think of the blinking? She knows a lot of shit about that technology, the hologram.
Yeah, I'm not keen on that. I'm not so keen on that because she shouldn't know as much as she does. So I think that's a little out of touch. But yeah, I mean, it was funny, but I don't think it was realistic.
I didn't take it as prior knowledge. I think she picked it up through that brief interaction with him, like because she watched him because it was like a couple step process. She would blink and then she would like kind of watch them and then she'd like fast blinked and she kind of realized that's
just something that
she knew what to do.
Yeah. Well, I think she picked it up right in that brief interview.
And so in that brief interview, you thought to yourself, if I just blink fast enough, I'm going to interrupt their holomatrix. Like,
well, and exactly at their rhythm, because they said something at the projector rhythm.
Yeah, so if she say, first of all, she'd have to be familiar with hollow imaging, which they didn't have back in her time. And second of all, she would have had to have known what their refresh rate was just by looking at them. And that's hard to believe for Terran or human. So no, I thought it was funny. It was clever. It was sort of clever in the, I wouldn't have thought about that, but ultimately she knows way too much for where they're at in time.
I think she put 2 and 2 together. That's why she mentioned his glasses. I think his glasses had some part to play in that whole thing.
Well, I do too.
Eric, because this is like dropping you into the future 100 years from now and expecting you to have all the knowledge in the world of everything that happened between now and then.
No, that's not what she said. She said that's old technology.
I know, but they didn't have holomatrices in her time, period. Like full stop. There was no such thing as a hologram to the degree that we had it. on Discovery or the original series. There was no hologram.
How do we know the whole ship's not a holodeck?
How do we know the whole?
It's a holodeck simulation. This is a holodeck. This entire show is a holodeck show.
Even if it was,
that's why I don't like it.
Philippa Giorgio would not have known anything about holograms. Full stop.
She's been in Section 1. I mean, on Discovery.
What the heck does that have to do with anything?
Okay. Oh, no, you're right.
Let's take the most smartest person from 1920 and bring them forward to 2020.
So are we sure the Mirror universe didn't have this technology?
Yeah, we're pretty darn sure.
Okay, and
I know they're not, because they were pretty much progressing at the same time frame we were, because of, I mean, there was a little bit of difference in the Discovery version of it, but the original series and Deep Space Nine versions of the Terran universe, there was none of that indication.
Okay, so wait. So he referenced her being in 3 different timelines. Did you guys all catch that?
He referenced her being from 2 different universes, and that this being the 3rd timeline, recognizing that the 2 other universes don't necessarily, because of temporal mechanics and timey-wiminess, don't necessarily represent the same timeline.
So what are the 3 timelines?
The one she came from in the Terran galaxy.
Why is that the same timeline when it's in a different? Why is that wouldn't that be in its own timeline? And not considered a different one? I think she's been in 3 different timelines, and we've seen 2 of them. We've seen the one where she first came to Discovery in our universe in the timeline, and now when they warped 1,000 years ahead is a second one. I think she's been in a 3rd one, and I think that's what the Section 31 show is going to be. All
right. Well, you and your kooky theories will just, I guess, roll with it.
I think the Section 31 show will talk about holo projectors. I think she's going to learn about it then.
So, I think Section 31 show takes place in this timeline. I think it's in the future.
No, because he referenced that her old universe and this universe was getting farther and farther apart. So I think somehow she has broken the whole timeline thing.
I wonder why it's being separated. And the last time that there was
it's her
500 years.
It's her. She did it from going to a different universe, and then also doing time warping 1,000 years ahead. I think that somehow has messed up the mechanics of it all, and now her world is spreading farther apart, or her universe.
I think it's the Burn that did that. I think
you're just making crap up, trying to sound cool.
Who, me?
Eric.
Oh,
that's what I do, Brad.
I think she caused the burn, and I'm gonna reiterate that one more time. I think that because of jumps, because of something like that, that was what caused the burn. The temporal wars.
I won't disagree with that. There's a chance she plays into the burn.
Burnham.
But the only thing is the only concern I have with that, and actually, I will say that somebody, now that you've said that, I believe somebody on Discovery caused the burn, and it may even have been something to do with Burnham's mother coming back through the wormhole that caused the burn. So, but something we've already seen caused the burn. I'm going to make that blanket statement. I don't think it's Giorgio, because if it was Giorgio, it doesn't make sense to base a whole series around her in Section 31. They'll probably allude to it as a tool, but they won't turn her into a villain and then create a whole series around her.
So you remember at the beginning of the episode that Burnham was telling Saroo that she wants to ask about her mother? She never asks about her mother. She asks about the burn, right? I think she thinks that her mother and the burn are connected. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, let's move on. So Burnham and request to Willa, Burnham and Saroo request to Willa to get a roster of the locations that the Keeley have visited. At first, Willa is very reluctant at doing so, but Willa kind of concedes the thought, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that much of a security risk to at least let them take a look at it. After some analysis and stuff, Saroo and Burnham think that Keeley got ill on a planet called Ura. You guys have heard of that one before?
Didn't ring any bells here.
It didn't ring any bells.
Nope, me neither. So due to some unstable metals, and back in their day, I guess that the Federation was just about to kind of designate that as a hazardous planet. Vance permits Burnham to reach out to the Takov, which is a seed ship that has been protected by the Federation. At Saroo's request, he is able to convince Vance to let Burnham go, that Saroo will stay on the Federation headquarters, and that is basically Saroo's ass that's on the line if anything were to go wrong. I'll be honest, I'm kind of disappointed that Saroo didn't go. Maybe it's just so Burnham could shine again. I mean,
yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have really made as good of a character. They had to get the scene with Burnham and Anon. Is that right? Yeah, they had to get that scene with them at the end there, which was a fantastic scene, I think.
Yep, which we will get to as well. So Burnham gets a little snippy, and Vance again shuts her down, tells her to go back to your place, kind of thing. So, do you think that Burnham is being a little bit too snappy with the Admiral here, or do you think she's justified based on her emotions and everything that's happening?
It seemed fine for the character. I mean, we get Saroo staying with the Starfleet, mantra or whatever you want to call it, sticking to Starfleet of the old that we know of, and we get Burnham kind of pushing a little bit more. We've seen that this whole season, really.
Right. All right. Next up, we get Willa on the bridge with Burnham as Burnham is taking the ship to the Takov. The ship jumps, no sign of the Takov, but they do see an ion storm. So Detmer guides them in, which is pretty stressful for Detmer. She has a moment. We see Oa kind of talk her through it. They're having problems getting the tractor beams. So Detmer finally gets the ship in position, again, snapping out of it, doing her thing, just locking shit down. And then they're able to lock into the Takov and tractor beam it up a little bit. So yeah. What did you guys think of that scene with the ion storm?
It was good. Classic Trek. We get an adventure to go off onto, and
right,
solve a problem.
Yeah. I didn't really feel like that. The whole scene was kind of pointless.
Okay, so I think this was to show that security officer that's from the Future Federation, or whatever you want to call it, from New Starfleet that went with them. I think it was to show her how capable they were of handling situations. Because if you remember, the leader guy, maybe it hasn't happened yet, but as later on in the episode, he references, we don't go on 5-year missions anymore. Like they don't go out to do this kind of stuff. It doesn't sound like they're basically on damage control is how I took it.
Yeah, and so we'll talk about that later.
Right. So I think that was the whole reason, like they had that whole part of that in this episode, was just to show how capable that this crew is.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. We find out that the Barzans, which is Nan's race, has joined the Federation, as well as they're the ones who are right now in charge of guarding and keeping the seed ship. So are you guys? I'm actually pretty stoked to learn that's the name of her race. I didn't know that. This is the first time, the first show we've seen Barzans.
When she first came on the ship, they mentioned it because she had that whole breathing apparatus on.
Right.
And that was the episode that what's her name? Blue Android chick.
Arian.
That was the episode that Arian left the show.
And I do, now that I think about it, and now they've referenced it a couple times, I do think they had like this relationship that made me think, like, are these two like a couple? Do you guys remember that from that season? Like at the very end, they kind of alluded to it, because I think I brought it up on the podcast. I was like, did I miss something, or are these two in a relationship now? And I kind of think we've got a little bit of that here and there. Did you guys pick up on that?
I thought Nan was from the Mirror Universe.
No.
Giorgio's universe, the Terran universe.
No.
I thought that's who. What is his name? The original captain, guy with the eye problem. Orca. I thought Orca was trying to
No, Lorca.
Lorca. Sorry, Lorca was trying to get Nan out of prison.
Well, there was a version of her over there, but she didn't cross over. The only person who crossed over and stayed was Giorgio.
I
mean, go back and fact check me. You may be right, but
no, that's what I remembered. I thought that Non was actually Orca's security person. That's why I said Lorca, security person.
Orca again.
I may have. All right, so next we see Culber and Non and Burnham beam over to the Takov, which is covered in plants. I was not expecting that.
I don't think anybody was. I think they referenced it, and then the security lady's like, "This was normal for our environment." I think is how she referenced it.
Right.
So I do want. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'll bring it up after you're done.
And then we see some. Culber basically says, "Oh, there's some life signs," and then it went away. So kind of some mystery there. What you got?
So she says, "Yeah, I'm in my normal environment," and her eyes changed. What happened to her eyes? They look the same to me. Were they just black?
There was like a bluish or brownish tint to them before that point.
I tried to watch it a couple different times. I couldn't really pick up a difference, so I didn't know if I missed something.
It was subtle,
right? And the person behind them was that guy. Like you know that, right, Will? Like you weren't asking as a question. It was the science guy.
Bill Nye,
Dr. Addis.
Bill Nye, the science guy's there, man.
Whoa! I knew I liked this show.
Yeah, I know it was Dr. Addis, but I'm talking for our listeners here. They may not know it was Dr. Addis.
I'm sorry. The way you asked it, I wasn't sure.
Spoiler alert. All right. So they don't know. We Burnham, Culber.
Call it the Boimler alert, right?
The Boimler alert. Absolutely. So next scene, we get Giorgio and Glasses Dude talking. Glasses is basically questioning Giorgio about the Terrans slaughtering the Vulcans and how we've got this 500 year gap since the last crossover. And then he basically tells Giorgio that, I'm going to learn more from you by you asking me questions. And Giorgio asks questions about the burn. And he says that there's conflicting theories. And that's all he says about it.
Keeping the mystery alive, aren't they?
Right. And the way that this show seems to work, though, is by the end of this season, I think we're going to have answers. I think we're going to have answers by the last episode of this season, what the burn was and what caused it.
We're going to get it by mid-season. We're going to get a pretty solid thought of what the burn was.
Like a teaser?
No, you remember like in season 1, we had a story arc that lasted from beginning to middle, and then the resolution of the first story arc created the second story arc. So I think we're going to get some overlap between the two, but I think we're going to have a pretty solid idea by about episode 6 or 7. How many episodes are in this season?
The 14, from what I remember.
So by 6 or 7, we're going to have a pretty solid idea what the burn was.
Well, this was episode 5. We've only got 2 episodes to really go.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. All right, so the next up, we get back on the Takov. We see a holo of a family unit of the Barzans. Kind of brings Non a little teary-eyed, and she's just smiling and all happy. Talks about how family is everything. They're basically, they invest in their children. And then Burnham beams over to the vault. They discovered that there's a problem in the records. Non watches his holo of the doctor. His name is Dr. Addis. Has become to discover that there's something wrong. People are getting sick. Families getting sick and stuff. And then she rewinds some tape, and we see a little bit of like phasing or something going on in his face, which I thought it was just because she slowed down the tape, and I thought maybe it's just a holo projector. But she kind of notices that there's a problem. And then Culber, has her come over, and we find that there is 3 cryo chambers with 3 women inside. And Culber basically said cryo is basically for people who are dying or, want to be saved later, but these people are already gone. So do you think that Addis cared that they were already dead or knew that they were dead or just was so distraught that he just put them in cryo anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. He was in denial.
Right. Yep.
And so then Addis broke open the vault to try to save him. So I think that's how we got the seed spreading a little bit there. Burnham gets attacked by Addis and then disappears. It kind of disappeared like a hollow. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the whole time he's a hologram. So we'll explain what happened in a minute here.
I didn't think that at all, but yeah,
That's what I thought.
I was curious.
Right. What'd you think there, Brad? What'd you think was going on when all of a sudden he disappeared? Because I don't think he ever got a hit on her.
I didn't think about being hollow. I did think about him being out of phase in some sort. And the way that they, so this is another piece here where I think they're jumping too far forward with transporter technology too. I think this is not a phenomena that they would have seen at this point, or would have been able to identify as quickly as they did at this point. So it didn't bother me nearly as much as the Giorgio thing did earlier, but I'm thinking this phenomena is a little too advanced for their time frame right now.
Do you not think that computer had some insight? What is it called? The 100,000 year computer?
Well, it could have been, but the computer's not the one that piped up. It was Tilly and Jet and what's his face? Stamets.
Zora, is that who you're thinking of, Will?
Yes. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, Brad. All right, so Burnham explains to Nan and Culber that he is out of sync a little bit, so a little bit of something's going on. But again, I thought it was a hollow. It's kind of what I was expecting it to be. Not being a big of a Star Trek guy as you, I didn't think about being out of phase.
It seemed really weird. Like, I don't even know why they had that whole part in there. Why didn't they just have him meet him? And he's grieving, and he's like, got all these plants growing around him, like he's trying to do some crazy experiment, which is what he was doing, I think, right? Like, I don't know why they had the whole like phase thing. That seemed weird. Unless they're gonna come back to it. I don't know.
All right,
it did seem to overly complicate things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Back to the D now. We got Tilly, Stamets, and Reno. They're quibbling. Willa mentions that actually. That is this how you guys normally operate? And they're like, yep.
Yeah, that was really funny.
But for how they were quibbling, I mean, nobody seemed to be getting mad. They were just, that's how they talk to each other. Just like how I talk to you guys.
Well, yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm a crazy theory, but I won't bring it up right now. I think most of the people in Starfleet are holograms. So I don't think they have banter back and forth. And that's why she wasn't used to it. But go ahead.
That's what the crew is, because we've never know what their names are.
I mean in the new Starfleet.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right, then Addis is hit they kind of find out that Addis is hit by a CME. Brad? CME?
I mean, when they talked about the phenomena, it made sense. Like, we've seen that before we've seen similar things in other series. I don't know that I've ever heard it called a CME, but it may have been.
Coronal mass ejection.
Yeah. A solar burp.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
During a beam out, we're beaming to the seed vault, and they hit by that, killed his family essentially. He watched them die in front of him. It only happened about 6 weeks prior, though. Does this seem to you that was pretty quick for those plants to grow?
No, because they talked about the Barzan atmosphere being more conducive to plant growth.
There you go. Answers for everything except for what CME is. All right, so we got Tilly, Stamets, and Reno beaming back to phase really fast. You guys think that was a pretty quick solution? I mean, they were just like, okay, hold on, we got this. Done.
That's what I'm saying. That was way too quickly for them being from the time frame they were from. Like, they were pre-TOS and they were able to come up with that solution that quickly. No, I don't buy it.
So this is not your daddy's Trek. They don't have time to spend a whole episode to explain this. Bam, it's done.
Okay, but continuity. Like, I'm in for continuity. I'm watching Discovery because that ship came from TOS time. Like,
so what do you think Reno was doing the whole time she's over in Discovery? She was figuring out how to solve this. We just didn't see it until she came up with the solution, and boom.
Listen, we know millennials want instant gratification. And that's instant gratification for finding a solution. Am I wrong?
Nope.
All right, then. So, Brad, it helps the story move forward. It happened all the time in the Next Generation. Data would just spout off, it could be this, that, and that. And then,
I know. And when we were doing the next
Jordy has answers for everything.
That was one of my complaints sometime was just like, oh, you mean that he just kind of scratched his head and came up with that solution right there? Bullcrap.
They got 35 minutes to fill an hour time slot. They got to have a quick in and out.
Hence why I like Deep Space Nine, where problems last longer than one episode.
And it's a sleep show, but yeah.
You guys are both wrong. So let's see where we're at here. So Willa mentions that they do make a good team. They agree, and then Non tries to comfort him. So what do you guys think of Non being able to interact with another of her species? I mean, she's left everything she knew behind, and then now she gets to see and engage with another one.
He has had like a grand total of 25 minutes of screen time this whole series. I don't have an attachment to her. This
whole episode, we start to, get attached to her a little bit. But as soon as she beamed over and she was like homesick, and then she was watching that hologram and she, paused, and I was like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. I didn't think she's going to stay in the ship, but.
Spoilers again.
Oh, sorry.
The whole episode twice now.
Damn it. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys have already watched it, not while you're listening to us anyway. So next up, we've got Culber says that Burnham needs to talk to him. Is this the Michael Burnham hour? Yeah, take these right here. It doesn't matter what the script says. Burnham, you do it. You know what I mean?
When you got a great lead actress who nails it, you got to use her.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about this Wednesday. And Star Trek, from what we always knew, was an ensemble cast show. It wasn't about the one, it was about the collective cast. This show, it's the Michael Burnham hour. We like Brad, you had just said, we don't know much about Non. We've gotten a whole 30 minutes of total screen time from her the entire 3 seasons, right? Probably. And we're just now in season 3 learning about one of a main cast members of the show. That bothers me a little bit.
It does me too. And I'm not going to defend them too heavily on this, but she didn't enter into the show until season 2, like episode 2nd or 3rd. Last. She was in season 1.
Wasn't she in season 1?
I don't think Non was in season 1. I think she came in the same episode that Arian left, which was in season 2 during the whole Control stuff, because Control's the reason she got booted out.
She came with Pike. She was on Pike's ship, wasn't she, originally?
That could be. I don't remember that much. I do remember that she was in the Control arc.
But that's the point, because we don't remember when she came in the show. We've been watching this show back to back. We've been watching this. We've been talking about the show every single week, and we can't even remember when this character came on the show. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, that's about like what's his, fishy lips that was at dinner, on the last episode. I have no idea where he came from.
I don't remember his name.
I don't either.
Oh.
But anyway, like the whole point being, it's like, no, I've got no investment on her. So did I care that she got to see the Barzans? No. She got weepy-eyed about stuff. Cool. It didn't really mean much to me.
Okay, fair enough. So again, it just bothers me that again we have Burnham needing to talk to, diffuse the issue and the problem, just like before. Culber said, "Hey, Burnham, you need to go down to Trill." All right, Burnham, no, now you need to go talk to Dr. Addis and tell him that, hey, your family's dead. Why is Burnham having to be the one that does all this stuff? Why can't we have other characters develop?
I am surprised you're surprised, because the Burnham hour was actually the alternate name of this whole show.
I could see that. I could see that. All right, so Burnham then tells Addis it's time to let his family go, but he can't help other families because they could really use the seeds. And the code I thought was pretty cool was the moons of Burzan, but also the names of his children. I thought was pretty touching. Obviously, it means he cared about his homeworld and his origins, but also cared about his daughters in the same facet there. And then, did you guys notice that when the seed vault was like dialing down and it was just lighting up as it went down? I don't know why, but I was just thinking Stargate. Chevron 1 locked in place.
I was thinking unnecessarily complicated is what I was thinking.
Right. Why didn't it just light up and there you go. One seed came out.
Kind of like in Rogue One when they were looking for the hard drive and it just beeps the light on the one that they need to grab. Like, why the heck didn't it just happen the same way here with the seeds? Like,
absolutely.
Okay, so I searched for the seed, light up that one. Cool. Go grab that one, move on with life.
Right. 15 seconds wasted filming. Next up, we've got the container. Culber beams out with the container after trying to say, hey, no, we've got to save this guy. But Addis wants to stay on the ship, take his family, but he's going to die if they don't get him medical attention. Non agrees to stay with the Takov, taking Addis's family back for a proper burial so she can also see her home again. The most important thing I think that we got out of this entire scene was really telling Burnham that she reaches for the best in others. And I think that was probably important for Burnham to hear. What do you guys think?
Fantastic scene. Burnham's going to be dead at the end of season 3. 100%.
It'll be the Saroo hour. All right. So next up, we got Vance is reviewing the mission with Saroo and Burnham. After Willa's accounts and non-sacrificed, I think Vance is kind of a little bit more accepting of the discovery and their capabilities. Something that I think Saroo really hit home, and I think convinced Vance with was his talk about the Renaissance and about there being 3 points of perspective. And Vance is a little concerned still. I mean, he talks about Detmer is still unstable. And, Burnham basically tells him, look, we'd put our lives in our hands again if we had to, which I don't really think she fully realizes how bad Detmer is right now. I think she needs to be there to get better, but I don't necessarily think she's the right person to be piloting the ship. I mean, if Oa wasn't there earlier to kind of talk her through, say, hey, you've got this, shields are going to hold, you've got this. Do you think they would have succeeded in that mission?
Yes. I think we're seeing her being traumatized, but this is a side of the crew that you don't normally see in these shows, but they're trying to show us how stressful situations are. And again, this leads back to why I think most of the people in that Starfleet that we've seen are really not real humans. They're holograms.
Okay. And then last step, we go a couple more things, I guess, is that the 3-point perspective is there to help the Federation look up. As you said before, they're looking too much in and being restrained and defensive and in survival mode. And now they can maybe even look back up to being the Federation that they used to be before the burn, which I thought was cool. It shows that maybe we can start rebuilding what we lost. And I think that really inspired, give inspiration tokens for you D&D fans to Burnham and Saroo.
Agreed. I feel pretty good about the Starfleet right now, but I still don't fully trust anything going on right now.
Sure. Brad, think things are looking up?
Things are looking up. I think that this is the renaissance of the new Federation, and yeah.
Awesome. So then Burnham finally interrupts and asks about the burn, says, hey, if can you now tell us more? Vance still says there's theories. There's theories out there, way too many theories. They haven't been narrowed down. She asks him, what does he believe? And he says, they're more concerned about other things right now. And Burnham basically says, I hear you loud and clear. So, Burnham asked Willa about some pieces of music that she heard. It was the song that Tall was playing. first name.
Yeah.
What's her first name?
Adira.
Adira, thank you. Adira Tall was playing in the violin. We also heard
so was Gray Tall.
Great Tall, and then we also heard it on the
Seed ship.
Kov. Yep. So we didn't hear it in season 3, episode 2 or 3, did we? Like, I don't think Burnham heard it anywhere before.
I think it's just been that season.
I think so. Okay. And last thing we've got here is there is a scene where Giorgio is standing there just kind of looking lost in space. Burnham comes up and talks to her about music and just doesn't respond to her. She asks if she's okay. And she goes, "Why would you ask me something like that?" So that was really weird. I'm thinking glasses dude. She asked him why wearing the glasses. And then did you notice he was doing this the last conversation? He like kept putting his eyes like around his glasses, like on the top and bottom. And there was like a little like of a blue hint to him a little bit. The actual like lens. I'm thinking that there was some sort of like something, hypnotism or something, mind reading, something going on there.
He's got Google glasses from the 20th century. Take a picture.
31. I think he is Section 31, as you had alluded to earlier.
That's a great idea about hypnotizing, because she was definitely, something was going on.
Absolutely. And that's not the Giorgio that we know. She's the one who hypnotizes other people. So
and then real quick before you get past the nursery rhyme thing that we're hearing.
Yep.
Crazy theory on it. This is like, the S that everybody drew in school that nobody knows where it came from, with like the blocky S. You know what I'm talking about? You guys ever draw an S that looks blocky?
Yeah, the three lines and then the.
Yeah, right. That everybody drew. Nobody knows where it's from. It's just part of us. And you'll hear other letters. You'll hear everything's in the universe where like everybody culturally will do something. And we really have no reason why. It's just something we do. It's like ingrained in us. And I think this nursery rhyme or whatever is ingrained in this dimension or this universe, and it's not actually discoveries. I think they're in a different universe. That's how, if you remember when Burnham asked the security lady, did you research this music? And that lady was like, yeah, we've had several people who say, they know it, parts of it, but nobody really knows where it came from. I think it's like just ingrained in this universe for some reason. Maybe it's the rhythm of how everything vibrates.
I thought S meant hope. Maybe that's in Kryptonian, though.
That is in Kryptonian.
Oh, okay. Last up, we've got Saroo and Burnham having a conversation, and Saroo asks Burnham, "Is it feels like home?" And Burnham says, "Not yet." But the Federation is a compilation of its people, and Saroo values Burnham's perspective, but he hopes that she will choose her words more wisely the next time they speak. So, with all that being said, boys, what did you guys think of this episode?
Season 3 has been fantastic. We're getting the answers faster than I ever thought. At the beginning, I think we all kind of figured that Burnham wouldn't meet up with him this early, and that happened. And then we thought, well, maybe them finding Starfleet will happen at the end. And boy, it's already happened. And it's just blazing speeds, really good. I love the storytelling. I love the mysteries.
Yeah, it seems like they ask a question in one episode, then we get an answer the next. They ask a question in one episode, but there's an overarching still mystery of this burn. I mean, the burn is like the one thing that has been prominent so far. We haven't got an answer. But if you're correct, as far as like halfway through this episode, we'll maybe have an answer, or a season, that we're going to find the answer to that. And it'll open up the next half of the season, because that'll be the cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. That'd be pretty fun. I'd be excited for that.
So I want to go back a little bit, because one of you mentioned that Giorgio caused the burn, possibly. Whose idea was that?
Mine.
So Giorgio had knowledge of holograms that we, as Brad alluded to, she shouldn't know. I think that's her third time zone, or her third timeline. She came in 120 years ago when the Great Burn happened, and that caused the Great Burn. And that's how she knows about this technology that she said was old technology, but isn't 1,000-year-old technology. It's only 120 years old. I was just thinking about that ever since you said that about Giorgio, and that's where I want to go with it.
crazy fan theory. Ready? I think she had to go back in time, or something happened where she had to go back to be able to do something to save Burnham because she cares about her so much, and that's why she's there. It could be future Giorgio we have with us now. I think Giorgio's the key in all this.
I don't know if
she's
it'd be
doing it because she loves Burnham.
I don't know if it's future Giorgio, but I mean, I do think she was involved. You're right.
I think she found the suit because that's one question that Vance asked is what happened to the suit. She said, I sent it back for it to self-destruct. We never saw it self-destruct. We don't know exactly what happened with it, right? I wonder if somehow Giorgio got a hold of the suit, and that's what happened to the burn. But Brad, thoughts on this episode?
I don't know that I have anything as prolific as you guys have had. I mean, it was a decent episode. There was lots of things that I obviously did not agree with as far as like, you know, where technology is at and how quickly Discovery adopted things. But overall, I mean, most of it's stuff I can look over and still enjoy the episode. I'm still enjoying the season. It's not the best season so far, but it is still good. Like, I still enjoyed it.
I think progressively the seasons have gotten better. The first one was the last half was good, and then season 2 was awesome, and then season 3 so far is beyond my wildest expectations of what this story was going to do. I'm jazzed. I'm look forward to every Thursday.
Same here. I completely agree with you, Will. And yeah.
Deep Space Nine is still the best one, but
no, but we disagree there. All right, guys, let's rate this episode. Brad, what do you give this one?
Based on all the other episodes in this season and this series, I'm going to give this one a 6.
Ouch.
Damn.
It's better than average.
That's bad.
That's a 60%.
Did you watch this episode?
I did.
It passes, but
I'm giving it a 6.
I thought a 70 was an average, man.
Will, what did you rate this one?
This one's easily an 8 for me. Just because of being able to see Starfleet and being able to see all these ships, the little touches that they add. But again, I want to get them away from Burnham episodes. I don't want to see Mariner episodes, right?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give this one 8 again. I've gave every episode of the season an 8. They've all been fantastic. Loving this season. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking out our podcast. Make sure you go to our website, maturemindedgamers.com. We do video games, board games, and much more. Have yourself a great night.
Let it burn.